And I wonder if I ever blow your mind.
It's 1:15. I don't know the words, but I need you now.
Welcome to episode 11, 1 of the Target Score Brampton podcast. I'm your host, Matt Bonomi. He is your other host, DMZ Bulsara. You can follow us on Target Score Pod on Instagram, Target Score Podcast on YouTube. New episodes every Wednesday, constant content all over your phone. If you're connected to internet, if you're not, use data, check it out. Don't waste your time doing anything else. Just look, and watch. You can also check out Target Score Winnipeg with Joey Slattery and Taylor Not Teddy Allen. Good week for Taylor Not Teddy Allen. And Target Score Vancouver with Chris Wiggins and Andrew Savory. D, our guest today is Honey Badgers assistant GM John Ross. But before we get to any of that, I need an IL update, an injured list update on your passenger side rear tire.
You jackass. Really? We're going to start with the podcast that way?
Oh, people want to know.
Yeah, God, the wallets got a lot lighter these days with the expenses that are piling up here this summer. I blew a tire. It's like my fourth set in the last 3 years. It's crazy. It doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, all season. I'm blowing tires, and laugh at it if you will. Whatever.
I'm not allowed to laugh
that as well, but like, it's getting frustrating, Matt. Man, like I don't know. Like, and it's happened since I've moved to the city. So do with that what you will. The city is full of potholes. It needs to be fixed. It's not my reckless driving. I promise you that. But it's getting really, 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 really annoying.
3 biggest rivalries probably in the world right now. Well, actually, let's say like the history of the world. I would say Jordan versus James in terms of popularity, who the greatest basketball players ever. Pineapple on pizza versus no pineapple on pizza. There's a beef there. And D versus
it's definitely
tires.
acceptable to have pineapple on pizza. Yeah,
no,
but yeah,
see, that's why your tires blow out, because you're eating that way. That's exactly why your tires blow out. But anyway,
there's nothing wrong with pineapple on pizza.
To those of you that don't know, D's had a rich history of tires blowing on his car randomly. But
and,
thank
you know
God,
what? And of
safe.
the tall, and you know what? It's actually happened to me on a game day. I was supposed to go to Niagara to sideline report. Tire blown, and I had to pull up. I can't remember what city it was, but it was between here and Etobicoke. Pulled up at a Jiffy Lube. Luckily, was able to get off the highway on a bummed out wheel. Dropped off my car, still had some time to spare, so I put up the bat signal. My wife, being the saint that she is, just got off of work. She came to pick me up. I grabbed her some Mary Browns to say thank you, and then we were on our way to River Lions game, and she sat through the whole game, watched me do my game. Shout out to Jamie, because he was panicking and he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without a sideline reporter like 3 hours before the game. I literally got there like 5 minutes before my hit, did my thing, and the rest is history. So yeah, it's a cruel world out there, Matthew.
You are alive though, so that's all that matters.
I always say, pay your taxes and make sure there's air in your tires.
Well, we can. This is called a transition. Speaking of blowing tires, how about blowing a pair of tires? The Brampton Honey Badgers blow
this is why you get paid the big
back
bucks.
tires on this, and they got swept in a home against the Niagara River Lions since the last time we podcasted. A 91-81 loss in the Flower City that was in B-Town, Brampton, a couple of days ago. Trenton Flowers was one of the only highlights of the game, 26 points. The team looked good in the first quarter. They played, I think, with a sense of urgency against the Niagara team that's like rolling now. They just had their 4-game streak of winning snapped the other day on national television by the Edmonton Stingers, but they're finding their mojo right now. They like I said, Brampton came out firing in that first quarter, and then they lost the next 3 quarters. And it was just one of those games where you're like, how is this team only scoring 81 points? And how are they giving up 91 points? The defense and offense is better than they played. And it was just kind of one of those ones where you're just left kind of shaking your head like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it the last podcast. There's no margin for error right now. Like you have to take advantage of every single opportunity. I think when we made our predictions at the end of the podcast, we said, hey, at least if you can split one of
Will you
these
turn that
games,
damn air
home and
fryer
home.
off? Why am I hearing the
Damn, I was
air
wondering if
fryer?
I'm gonna hear that. My chicken's ready. Let's put this podcast on pause so I can finish my late lunch here.
We want to talk about
But
things that are cooked.
Well
I'm
played.
talking about D, by
Well
the way.
played.
Don't worry.
Jesus. But yeah, we talked about how, there was couldn't make any mistakes during the final stretch of the 5-6 games that they have left here. Really important to win one of these games. I think last time we looked at the standings, the Honey Badgers had about a game and a half, 2-game lead, 2.5 game lead on Niagara. Now it's down to one. No, it's got down to half a game, which is crazy between Brampton and Montreal right now through those 4 spots. Only game and a half separates the 4 teams. Ottawa's winning basketball games. They handed Scarborough their first loss at home this season, which we'll talk about later in the podcast as well. Just frustrating. I don't know what to say, right? Like some of the guys are performing, but just defensively, which this team has sort of built their identity on, they just haven't been able to get key stops. And you would hope that they would have been able to keep the ship afloat till Sean East came back, and luckily for us, we'll get Sean East back in the next game at a very crucial time in the schedule as they embark on a 2-game road trip here in Saskatoon and Winnipeg. But all I can really say is it's just been frustrating, man. It's just been really, really tough as a viewer.
Yeah, things got tougher in that second leg of the back-to-back 99-90 loss in St. Catharines at the Meridian Center. They only played well in the fourth quarter. They outscored Niagara by 7. They made a little bit of a run there at the end. Trenton Flowers kind of came to life in the second half. He had 28 points. They had 76 points from their starters. Tyson with 19. He actually started that game, came off the bench on the first of the back-to-back, but he made some history there. 77 threes, which was a single-season CEBL record for regular season and postseason, and he hasn't even played in the postseason yet. So if there's something really cool to look at and be like, oh my gosh, this guy can certainly shoot, it's Cam Tyson, because he's literally making full season history with playing like maybe 2/3 of the potential season that he could.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't even bring up the biggest story in this game. Flowers unfortunately goes out with an injury. You were at that game, and you said the moment he went down, it didn't look good. And you called it from you were sitting in a suite because obviously you live that bougie life out there in the Niagara region, and you called it from your vantage point. You're just like, I think he's done for the season, and I think that the moves that they've made recently are reflective of that in transitioning post Flowers. But I think what sucks is like a version of this team having Flowers and East in the backcourt looked so sexy on paper, and from the early signs that we saw what Flowers is capable of doing. And our last conversation with East, him talking about how excited he was to be playing with a guy like East and to complement him and make his life a little bit easier. It's just going to be a what if now. We'll never know what that would have looked like. And it sucks too, because we were starting to see Cam Tyson get adjusted to playing against a dynamic scorer like Flowers as well. So it's just a bummer overall. It really is really, really, really crappy at this point in the season.
Yeah, a couple things. One, if you were to take $1.5 million to Toronto, that would get you like kind of a dodgy house in High Park area. If you took $1.5 million to Niagara, that would buy you all of Niagara. Two, the Flowers.
Thanks for the economy lesson.
You got it, my friend. Two,
you are a teacher.
Flowers,
sorry.
No comment. The Flowers thing was scary, I would say, in a lot of ways. My buddies and I were watching the Tempo game actually up on the TV in the box, because the basketball game that we were attending was kind of a blowout at the time. And then all of a sudden you hear the place kind of go quiet, and we look over the seats and we're down by the glass and we're watching, and he's just laying on the ground, slapping the floor. He's grabbing his knee. And it was just one of those weird things. Like I kind of watched a little bit of the trail up to the play there, and he was able to run back on defense and then kind of just hit the deck. So the murmurs and things that I've been hearing have been negative, in the sense that it'll probably take him about 4 to 6 weeks to recover at best. Again, that's pure speculation. That's just things that I've heard, people assuming that's what the injury is. No one from within the organization. I would like to say that too. That's all just people outside that would assume or that are guessing that have been around basketball what the injury may be. And you and I had him on the pod. What did we have him on the pod last week?
2 weeks
Or
ago.
2 weekends ago, or 2 weeks ago? He did say like he had that lower body injury before, right? And he was back to
Right.
feeling himself. Whatever. And he had some monster dunks in that Niagara game too. Like it was like, okay, we're watching Niagara win, but we're also watching a dunk contest too. And I think the thing that really sucks is for those folks that haven't watched this guy play, like we saw him play what? 6 games. He started 5 of the 6, no less than 20 points in any of those games. And the guy is just a freak athlete. So normally I feel like at 21 years old, when you have an injury like that, people are like, oh, well, their career is derailed and they're never going to get a chance. Well, now it's like, dude, there is so much belief in my mind that this guy will come back. And maybe not with Brampton at this point this season. I mean, again, personally, I would be hard pressed to think that he would somehow come back within a month and a half, which would be the end of the season anyway. Like the season's quickly over in what, less than a month now.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that would be really wishful thinking. But like you said, I think you peered at the saddest part about this is the fact that we won't get to see him play with Sean. And I know there were a lot of people that were really excited about that. And you see the potential, and just like Trenton too, such a nice guy, like a
Oh
class
my
act.
goodness.
Like go back and watch the pod from a couple of weeks ago if you haven't. It was just like salt of the earth, good dude. You could tell he wanted it. He said like, when we win the whole thing, when we make the playoffs, when we win, like it just sucks. And bad things always happen to good people. That's kind of the crappy way that goes sometimes with sports, and you can't avoid it. But yeah, I guess they kind of took 3 losses in that little stretch of 2 games, then you could say.
Yeah, I mean, a very, very hard guy not to root for. It sucks because the thing that really stood out about that interview and caught us, I won't say by surprise, but was just really nice to hear is like, I haven't even been, you haven't even seen the best version of me in terms of my athleticism. Like, I'm just starting to get my legs under me, right? So, I'm just going to be able to do more as I get more run and reps under me, and you could
Hmm.
see that progression in his game as well. And he's really starting to figure out how the league works, the dynamics of the league, the rules of the league, target time, all that sort of stuff. And it just sucks because he's worked so hard to get back to this point, and now he's faced another roadblock. The good thing is in talking to him, he's a very, very resilient guy, and he's very, very young. So there's certainly opportunities, but as a precautionary measure, these guys won't take any risks and making sure that he gets back to full strength. And yeah, it's such a bummer, man. Like it literally puts a pit in my stomach because there's no person that we've talked to in a short amount of time and gotten to know that like you really were rooting for. So on a
Hmm.
human level, it sucks, and we obviously wish him all the best. And I again, he's a guy that like when we're talking about the team next year, like I hope he gets another shot at this, and he does it with us as well. And I know the team itself and John and Jermaine and Serta all made a really good impression on him, and I'm sure he's a proven guy, and maybe he'll want to run it back, but we don't know where he'll be in his basketball career at that point. So, yeah, just a bummer overall.
I will say my buddies watch a ton of CEBL. Any games that you and I are on, whatever they'll watch, they'll tune in. And they were at that game with me, and they were mesmerized by how good of a player Flowers was. And they said, we've been watching this league for a long time, and they have not seen anybody who can jump like him, who can play like him, who has that kind of drive in him to go slam and then hustle back on defense. So he's a one of a kind guy. The sad thing is he's not probably available for a while now, if at all. The good news is, though, this team and the front office do a great job at always pivoting. They made 2 moves today. This is your breaking news here on the Target Score Brampton pod.
So we'll tee it off by saying we're recording on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. But yeah, I'll let you take it away from there.
Holding headline right here. Brampton Honey Badgers signed 2 guards. Roddy Peters Jr. out of Maryland, recently played in Mexico, kind of a veteran presence there. I believe he's 31 years old. So that was kind of a reactionary move right away, I think, to get the ball rolling there on replacing or adding guard depth. And then this one, Tavian Jones out of Chandler, Arizona. He's a name that's been around the CEBL. This is his 3rd season. Vancouver and Saskatoon this year are the 2 teams he's played for. 20 points per game in 12 games combined between those two teams. And then he has that little Serta connection. G League South Bay, Alex Serta, assistant coach there. Jones was just on the roster there in the G League this past season. So two pieces that you look at and you say, well, you know what? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm more familiar with Jones, obviously, than I am Peters
Mhm.
Jr., but Jones enough for me is like a needle mover where I'm like, okay, this guy can ball. He's a character. He loves to put the ball through the net. And I think that might obviously help this offense.
Yeah, obviously Peters is speculation at this point. He still has to go through physicals and whatnot, so he's not confirmed, but he has been signed. So he has to do his due diligence and then go through the proper protocols in order to suit up for this team and get his required 5 games in order to play for the playoffs. But yeah, Jones, a vet in this league at this point. You mentioned his stops this year. He's had 5 stops in total. He had a cup of tea in Vancouver, so he only played 2 games there. But with Saskatoon, he's already had a 36-point game on his resume, averaging 19 points per game. Guy likes to shoot threes, which, is always good in a Shawnee system. So, he can drive and dish. He's got Cam Tyson on one side. So hopefully he has another, a threat on the other with Tavian. And this is the perfect guy. Like, it's perfect because this guy has played in the league, so he knows the rules. He knows how to be successful in this league and what you have to do in order to win basketball games. And then he's also a guy trying to prove himself as well. And so I think we've seen Shawnees can work with anybody, right? Like that guy just you give him good players and you surround him with good players and he's gonna cook. And we've been talking about all season. This is his highest assist average season. So that will certainly help fill that void because we've said it at nauseum that like Sean just needs a little help to take off the scoring load. But yeah, I love this move for the team, and the familiarity with Serta is the thing that makes me most optimistic about this because there's a guy that right? You've played with, and you know, this is an opportunity to also further prove to Serta when Serta's not here and he's back in the G League, and if he makes a good impression, there's a possible chance of a reunion there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the thing too that everybody would tell you about the Canadian League Basketball League is that relationships are everything. And although, and
Hmm.
again, this is not anyone in the league telling us this, but this is what I think you and I both agree on a lot is that although everyone wants to win in this league, the ultimate goal is to further your career as a basketball player past this league as well. So as much
Correct.
as I don't want to make the league sound like it's something that's just used as a stepping stone. In reality, it is a stepping stone for a lot of these guys, and creating impressions like that while also having a chance to win the league is like a 2-for-1. So I think you're bang on there too. Like Jones is going to come in, be on his best behavior, put on a show, integrate in on this offense with a bunch of guards that are impressive as is, and also you pured it as well. How many times am I going to say the word pured? Sean drives, kicks, loves doing that. Assists guy. Al Whitley said to us at the beginning of the season about I think when they started to turn there and they lost a couple of games in a row that the goal is to take pressure off of Sean. They need to
Hmm.
peel back Sean's responsibility because no player in this league have we seen, maybe one or two, if I had to guess, that can drop 30 a game and win a title.
Hmm.
Like I don't think we've ever seen somebody pull like a Steph Curry or like a well, I dare say Kawhi Leonard Raptors, but I mean something where like
Hmm.
you're running the show and it's you, and then you win. Like that doesn't happen. So to give Sean some kind of sense of ease and allow the offensive responsibility to be dished on to other guys like Cam, Tavian now, like that will work wonders, I think.
And just to further push his endorsement, like we were just talking to John Ross, and John was saying that Serta's the one that actually approached him and Jermaine and said, hey, like Tev wants to come here, can we make it happen? And
Mhm.
so that's got to make you feel optimistic about him wanting to come here and prove and do more than just show up and play basketball. Like he wants to do something with what they have already here. So yeah, I again unfortunately bad news, but we're fortunate enough that these guys are hungry, and we know that front office is not just going to sit on their hands, and they responded accordingly. And just looking at the schedule now, right? You got to buck up and start winning these basketball games. We got 3 games on the road. Is it? Yeah, no, 3 games on the road, 2 at home. Am I right?
Yep,
Yes.
we got 5 games
So
left in the schedule. Yeah,
5
there's
games left in the schedule, and it's funny when you look at the schedule, Matt. Right, like they're all playing Scarborough at some point, and we don't know what version of Scarborough we're gonna get because they've locked up the East. In the last game where Ottawa won, right? Cap Barber doesn't sit. Miles Powell doesn't play, but that's because of a suspension. So that was like that. That wasn't because they wanted him to sit. But how much of this is balancing that act of we're going to rest some of our guys, but we also don't want to completely rest them because we want them to stay competitive. And the crappy thing for the Brampton Honey Badgers is, if Scarborough decides to sit some of their guys in the next couple of games and say like, hey, we want to play competitive basketball near the tail end of the game, tail end of the season. Well, unfortunately, we've got them for our last 2 games. So we could see the best version of Scarborough in those games. And we know that there's a little bit of a rivalry being built there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how things shape out. Like Ottawa still plays Montreal, Ottawa still plays Niagara. So a lot of interconference being played, and the decks could certainly shuffle a lot over the course of the last 4 or 5 games of the season. And so if you're not watching CBL basketball right now, you certainly should be if you want to see how this thing all shapes out.
I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure the all-time win record is 19, set by Vancouver last year when they were 19-5 and they won the West.
Good
And
point.
my guess is Scarborough has 5 games left. I have been told by multiple people, and I don't think this is breaking news, that not only did they want to win the East, not only did they want to lock down the best, not only do they want to lock down the best seed in the league, like league wide, because that plays important for the last 2-3 games of the 3-game championship series, but they also want the record for most wins in a season. Like this Scarborough team, and that's the thing that's kind of tough. They don't play around really. Like they're not one of those teams where it's like, oh well, you know what, we got a couple games, we're just gonna let these guys rest. This and like they're 15-4 right now, and they just continue to club teams when they don't even have all their guys playing. Like the other night, obviously, which we'll get into in just a second here after I read the Brampton schedule. But they don't hold up. And unfortunately for Brampton, like you said, 5 games left on the schedule, 2-game road trip out west, Saskatoon Thursday on the 23rd. And then Winnipeg on Saturday, nationally televised game. Joey Slattery, the founding father, going to be on the call there on CBC. You can check that out. And then they come back to Ontario and they host Montreal, and then a home and home with the Scarborough Shooting Stars team. And it's a do or die season, right? And I would bet my bottom dollar. Sorry, I would bet $1.5 million, which can get you all of Niagara, that Scarborough will not take their foot off the gas. My guess is that they will play everybody, and maybe if they get that win record, give their guys 1 day off from a morning shoot around or something. Like this team is a serious team. As Miles Powell said in that interview the one day, we're serious. Like I don't think there's any chance that they're gonna just take a break and allow Winnipeg potentially to well, I guess Winnipeg can't. Well, Winnipeg could catch them, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking Scarborough's go. They're not gonna stop.
You'll appreciate this because I know this is one of your favorite football seasons, but the 07 Patriots went undefeated, right, that year, and wanted to run the gauntlet and have the perfect season and win the championship. But then your Giants came in and spoiled all that. But nothing would be, top like be the crescendo of a season if you were to say that you had the best regular season and then cruise to the playoffs and win that championship, right? And we know the personnel, the folks, the competitive, the hunger juices that are over there in Scarborough, and they want to do the most with this season, right? So why not? And I mean, you were at that last Scarborough Ottawa game. They play again tomorrow, and there is no way, there's no universe that they don't put their best product on the basketball court with how that game ended. So I don't expect them to sit their guys that game. They definitely want to go out there and prove a point. And like, if I'm a referee of that basketball game, I do not envy you at all, because that's going to be a tough game to call.
You set this up perfectly. Scarborough going into Ottawa. Alex Fudge on Ottawa had a bunch of free safety kind of plays the other day. Actually looked like a wide receiver. It's going to be like Wilson Dubinsky tossing it up to Fudge, David Tyree off the side of his head, slams it. That's going to happen.
I, I
Scarborough
love
gets
that.
upset. I was actually watching SB clips today. I don't know if you watched the SBs the other day, but I was looking at old SB clips, and I think Justin Timberlake was like the best SB host ever.
Oh,
I thought it was
so
friggin'
good.
hilarious. And he did the one where it was like different skits of like if he was in the moment for like viral sports moments. So one, do you remember the one where they had the banner of the at the like high school football game, and then the
Yes,
girl goes out
yes.
to like fix the so like before it's like him and a girl or cheerleader, and he's like, hey, like there's a rip in the banner. Here's a tape. Go do it. And she runs out, and she gets clocked, and then he's like, well, there was one with David Tyree where he's like watching the Super Bowl field side, and he's chewing gum, and he's like, oh man, like, and the guy beside him can't hear him, so he takes the gum out and he just puts it on the guy's helmet, and the guy's like, don't do that, man. He goes, this guy never plays, and then of course he gets pulled into the game, and it's like they show the catch, and Timberlake just run. Anyway, way too long, but David
Musicians are low key
Tyree.
undefeated at the ESPYS because Drake killed it the year he did it as well.
It was really, remember the Skylar Diggins thing he did? He was like all over Skylar
Yeah.
Diggins. He like that was his Notre Dame obsession. I think it was more of a Notre Dame
My
obsession,
favorite
selfishly.
was the oh my god, the Will Ferrell skit that he did, and he's like, Damar, I hear
Yeah,
it. Damar, I hate it.
yeah. Now that aged pretty well, which I'm curious to see if that guy comes back, if there's going to be even more. Um, but
That's our
that
other
game,
podcast.
that game the other day, I was on the call with Joe and Joe Rasso and Francisca Opong, and we missed you there. But the game itself was crazy. Like every game I've done in Scarborough, filling in for Rod Black, has been nuts. Like
Mhm.
the one game the floor wasn't put down correctly, so there was an inch gap, so it had to be the game was canceled. Another game there's technicals, guys getting kicked out. Another game was a 19-point comeback, which one of the biggest in Target Store time history against Saskatoon. That was earlier this year. I've probably done like 10 games there in the last 4 years, and every single time I do them, there's something nutty. This game,
That's so
you
funny you
could.
bring that up because I've done a couple, and like the ones that stand out is like I was at the game where Thomas Kennedy had that like posterizing game winner on the 1A, and Rod Black had one of the most epic calls in
Oh
CBL
my
history for
god!
that
Oh
one.
my
I
goodness!
thought he was gonna
Yeah.
lose his voice. And then the other one was like the last game I did against Brampton, Miles Powell got kicked out of the game for, brushing
See
up against
that
a ref. So it's
that.
you're right.
Oh, that's the funny thing, man. Like all I think of is Rod saying, "He did it. He did not." Or whatever. That was a great call. But anyway, the other day it just gave this vibe of like Ottawa's slowly getting their pieces together. Missoula's jacked up on the sidelines. Here's a 27-year-old head coach who's trying to lead a team to a playoff push here. They're in a playoff spot right now, fighting for their lives. And I think one of the things too is that they're going to get Matthew Cleveland back. Javonte Smart's balling. Isaiah Moore's balling. Javonte Smart snapped that game. I think he had like
Yeah.
29 points or something. And then all this stuff happens. There's a little scrum after the
And Dang
game. They're getting
Adele's
it.
back, longtime CBLer who's gonna have some veteran presence in that game. Like the crazy thing now is like, hey, we talked about phases in the season. We are now at like the close to the final phase of the year where all these guys that were the summer league are gonna slowly start to come back. We're finally seeing versions of this roster that will compete in the playoffs. I'm like the team I'm scared about the most is Vancouver because I don't think we've seen all the chips settle in there. And when that team gets to the playoffs, like God, they're gonna be a behemoth. And then we can talk about Winnipeg and what they're starting to build over there as well. Yeah, this is the best part of the season now because like now we're gonna get some consistency and we're gonna see the real players come out.
My chips are all in on Ottawa. I'm very intrigued by Ottawa once they get a healthy roster. I think they're going to be interesting. And
Yeah.
that game tomorrow, which is going to be on Wednesday, so I guess today, um, I'm not bringing the boxing gloves out, nor am I endorsing any kind of. But I think there's going to be some very physical play in that game. You just mentioned the West, Vancouver. One more thing before we jump into our interview with Honey Badger's assistant general manage, John Ross. What about Teddy Allen?
Oh my
Teddy Allen
God.
dropping 54 points in a game, which is a CEBL record against Montreal. Founding father Joey Slattery was also on the call there. 589 points, most ever in a CEBL season. And I mean, first and foremost, what did you think seeing that game?
Yeah, it's funny. I watched the first half of the game and he had 20 points at the half. And again, it's so easy for me to say it now, but like, I was like, this is this is like must see basketball, because if you know Teddy, once he's on a heater and he's starting to feel himself, he's gonna keep hoisting up the shots. And you just saw right away the difference that Moon makes on a team, right? Guy finishes with what, 14, 16 assists in his first CBL game. And this is a guy that typically we know as a go-to scorer, go-to scorer. And this is someone who's now come into this system, established himself. He knows what he has to do in order for this team to succeed. He sees that the mantle's over here and it's all set up for Teddy to flourish in order for this team to be, best version of themselves. And, if they want to, win this whole thing. And it's just terrifying. It is terrifying that you give a table setter to a guy like Teddy Allen. And I mean, not even just the points, like 10 rebounds. I know you've been joking about it in some of our group chats with Joey specifically about he only went to the line, what, 4 times and missed,
And he missed
only went to the
one.
line 4 times and he missed one free throw for a guy that like shot, 64% from threes, 72% from the field is absurd on a 50-point game. Like, that is insane. That is so efficient. It's just bonkers. 10 rebounds, 4 assists. For me, I'm gonna say it right now. And again, I don't want to say that my ballot's filled out, but he has to be the front runner for MVP at this point in the season. And it's not just the offense, it's the defense as well. And Joey's brought this up several times. Again, I get a little bit of a homer there, right? Of course, he's going to go for bat for his guy, but he's playing really good defense. Like, I think he's averaging more than 2 steals a game. But that's the biggest improvement I've seen. Like, we know that he's a bucket getter, we know that he can score, but the fact that he's playing defense too, it's going to be very, very hard for me to sway my decision. Obviously, him and Miles Powell are 1 and 2 right now. And so Miles really has to go off. And hey, Miles Powell's a guy that's probably seeing the dialogue and the conversation on the other side. He's like, hey, I've got the best record in the league right now. And I will continue to showcase and show you guys why I'm worthy of this. So he's on watch as well over these next 4 or 5 final games for Scarborough as well. And that's part of the reason why I don't think that Scarborough is going to lay over and just trot out rosters just to get through the season, because they've already locked things up. I think there's a lot of guys that still have things to prove and awards to chase.
This is the scary thing. I'll leave you with some numbers here. In 2023, he won MVP or Player of the Year. He averaged 36 minutes a game, 28 points per game, and he shot 43%. Give him 8 rebounds a game. This year, in 1 less game so far, he's got 35 minutes a game, 30 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 3.7 assists a game. Rebounds and assists are the exact same that they were. He's averaging 1 more steal per game this year. And he won MVP in 2023. So his numbers are arguably better. The one thing that's going to help him too is he has 3 more games to play now. Technically, I guess 4 at that point because the playoffs at that. But so he's working with 4 more regular season games to win MVP, which is absolutely nuts. And the best part about all this too is it shuts people up. Like, the amount of people that go at this guy and say, like, I see all the comments on social media and like they post one Teddy thing. Like, even the other day when they posted the compilation of him scoring and they're all commenting saying like, this guy loses you game. Dude, if someone's dropping 54 points in a game, they're not losing you the game. Well, he's lost us as many games as he's won. Well, great. He's also won a lot too. So like, what would you got to take the good with the bad, and he's not going to lose you many games as much as people say, well, he holds the ball too much and he shoots too much. Like, they're having success out there. There's a reason they're first in the East right now, and he's played in every game. Or West, sorry.
Yeah, like, I obviously don't want to go too far in the weeds because there's a Winnipeg podcast that can go into this, and I'm sure.
I'm on this right now. Joey's it right now. I'm bringing Joey. I got him in the room right here.
That's why our podcast will be dropped after Winnipeg's, because they want first crack at this. I know Joey's like salivating at the idea of talking about. I mean, his perspective will be the best because he got to be on the call that day. But it's great for Teddy because obviously he's had a history with the CBL, good and bad, and unfortunately, unfortunately that happened, and we didn't know if we would ever see him in a CBL uniform again. And luckily for us, he persevered and he continued to fight whatever demons he was dealing with to come back and put up the kind of numbers he has. And shout out to, the front office in Winnipeg for welcoming him at the open arms and letting Teddy be Teddy and allowing him to flourish the way that we know that he's capable of. But just to me, it's the efficiency, man. Like 48% from the field, 37% from 3-point land, and he's not missing his free throws. I think he's showing close to 90% from the stripe. So I don't know how you make an argument against that. But again, a lot of time, a lot of games for Miles to make his final case, but it's going to be really, really tough, man.
All I'll say is, Teddy, we got Rick's Good Eats, we got Shelby's, we got D blowing tires on the 401. We got room in Brampton for you if you're interested. I can fork out $1.5 million for you. You just let me know. League, don't listen to this. There's no such thing as tampering. But anyway, in good news, Sean East is back. Brampton's going on a mini road trip, and they'll be back in Ontario for the last 3 games of the season. And the better news, in the quickest wrap-up ever, D, is we get a chance now to talk to John Ross. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Now time to welcome our special guest to podcast number 11. It is the assistant GM, the man that runs the show, Mr. John Ross. John, thanks for joining us.
Matt, D, awesome to be here. Fired up to share some time here. Off the court. We always see each other on the courts and pregame, so nice to be here with you guys.
D and I are shocked that you're in a gym right now, too. That's the last place we'd ever expect to find you.
It's only
I was going to try to get back to the condo for this, but we just wrapped up practice. So
yeah, well, business never stops on your end. Speaking of business, you have a really cool basketball career. The elephant in the room, the big one that everybody probably stares at and goes, wow, 14 years with the Portland Trail Blazers. Why don't you take us through how your basketball journey began and how you kind of got your start in the NBA?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Appreciate that. I'm originally from Indiana, so if anyone's ever seen the movie Hoosiers, like we literally played against them in high school. So like I grew up in the cornfields, town of 2000, like everybody plays basketball. And so growing up, I always wanted to work in the NBA. Well, you want to play in the NBA until you realize like, probably not going to play there. I would love to work in the NBA. Scouting, management was always kind of the dream. And so, play ball through high school, went to college. After college was just kind of like, how do I get to the NBA? I Googled NBA jobs, and I learned how to break down game film, reached out to every single person I knew with any kind of NBA connection, and I ended up getting an interview as a video coordinator with the Boston Celtics. So I went up there and was just like, oh my goodness. It was just like 20 TVs. They said, oh, you just watch all these games and break down film. And I was like, you can do this for a job, I didn't get that job, but they knew Caleb Canales, who was a head coach in the CEBL last season. They knew him, the video coordinators in Boston. So they referenced me to the Portland Trail Blazers. I started talking to Caleb Canales, and then I got offered unpaid video internship in Portland, Oregon. I lived in Virginia at the time. I accepted the internship the next morning. I started a 4-day drive across the country to Portland, Oregon. And so I worked there. I interned for 2 seasons and then got hired as a video coordinator. And then after 5 seasons, moved over more to the front office side, scouting, doing personnel video scouting over there. So that was kind of the culmination of my career. Wrapped that up. I guess the highlights were, we went to the Western Conference Finals. We had a couple of Dame Dalla buzzer-beating championship, moving on to playoff wins, which is pretty. We got to rush an NBA court twice in my career, which is just crazy to get to rush an NBA court. But just some great experiences there in Portland. That ended maybe 4 years ago, and then was out of basketball. I was kind of a little burned out, retired from hoops, and I got into marketing, and then back to Caleb Canales. He took the head job in Calgary. He called me. He's like, hey, I want you to come to Canada with me. He said, take some time, think about it, pray about it. I said, I'm on my way. Let's do this. Let's go to Canada. So that's what brought me back into basketball, brought me to Canada. Had a great experience in Calgary last season. And then, Al Whitley, him and Caleb are close from their time with the Mavericks. So we've all been in kind of the same circle in the NBA. And then, Al hit me up and was kind of, hey, you want to come to Brampton this season? And I was like, let's do it. So over in Brampton now. And so that's kind of where we're at.
It's crazy to look back on your journey that you had this sustained success. You spent so much time with one franchise, which a lot of people can't say that they've done. So that's a blessing in itself. And now that you've transitioned into a different part of your career, and you've become sort of like a journeyman, and you're sort of just living these different experiences. Can you talk about you talked about how you were burnt out, and maybe you had some internal conversation dialogue within yourself, like, is this what I want to do anymore? And obviously Caleb's one of your guys, so that reignited something. Like, what made you want to come back and try something new, and especially in a foreign country, a country that you're not familiar with, and a league that's just kind of on the uprise?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I finished my career with the Trailblazers, I'd say, as a video coordinator, oftentimes, I'm watching 5, 6, 7 basketball games a day. Like, that's my job. And people would always ask me, like, hey, do you ever get tired of watching basketball? And I was like, no, like, I love this. Like, that's crazy. I get to watch 5 basketball games a day for my job. But also in the NBA, the season, you kind of show up in September and then you finish in July after Summer League and you get August off. But it's pretty much 11 months of like, no holidays, no weekends, no evenings, no funerals, no weddings, no, like, you are, like, when they say 24/7, it's like that's what it is. So there is I never didn't enjoy my time in the NBA. It's like every day you're like, this is pretty cool. I go to an NBA gym every day for work. But at the same time, I did miss a lot of important, family things and other things in life that it's like, man, I don't necessarily want my whole life to be just on a basketball court. And so, yeah, like I said, I could watch 5 games a day, no problem. Loved it. By maybe year 12, 13, 14 was when I'm like, I think I'm a little burned out. I think that was probably the time and season where I probably should have left on my own accord. But it was a blessing to have that long with one team, be able to build roots and community in the NBA. Is really special to be able to do that. And then, yeah, once I was done, I was pretty much, people always ask, even now, people ask, like, hey, do you want to get back to the NBA? Do you want to work in the NBA? And I'm like, my only thing is I want to work with good people. To me, like I said, like basketball is that 24/7 thing. If you're around good people, I don't think there's anything better. It's a blast. Like, building a team, being a part of a team, working together to win a championship, nothing beats it, in my opinion. But if you're around people you don't like, and it's 24/7, and people are disgruntled and going different directions, almost nothing worse. You know what I mean? You travel with these people, you eat with them, you share rooms with them, like you live together. Like, if you don't enjoy the situation, so that's where, um, I was burned out. But people asked me if I come back, and I was always like, with the right people, with the right people. And for me, like Caleb was always the right people. Like, if Caleb wanted me to go somewhere, I would have always been a yes. And so when he said, hey, do you want to come back? I was like, easy, done. I'm in. And we had a blast. Last year was great. So
I just will say, I can relate to the part of working with bad people. I do a podcast with D. So obviously,
fair. It's tough.
obviously,
It's tough.
obviously, you said Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum as well, like two of the best in the game at the time.
Yeah.
Two guys that are synonymous with Portland basketball. You've now seen the highest level. You've been a part of these guys' developmental journey at the NBA, which is a crazy thing to us folks that have never been in the NBA or involved in any of that. How important is that experience, and how can you apply that now to guys in the Canadian Elite Basketball League that are looking to make that next step and to get to that next level?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's huge. It's not something I like promote or talk about, like, hey, I was in the NBA or whatever. But it's like when people find out, like, oh, you worked 14 years in the NBA, like it does hold gravity. People know that you can. Most people, that's their goal, is to get to the NBA. Even like staff members, everyone's goal is to get to the NBA. So the fact I worked there for 14 years means I also, I have tons of relationships in the NBA, in the G League, and my goal is always to help people, whether it's our players, whether it's our staff, team attendance, media, anyone who's looking to get like to another level. If I can help get them, like I love doing that. So I feel like that's kind of became a lot of, my time in the CBL is like, how can I help, promote the CBL and also get people to their next stop. And so that's what we've done, with our franchise here, of like, how can we elevate players and get them to the next place that they want to be. Same with our coaching staff. down to, like I said, down to our team managers and everybody. So, yeah, I think having that baseline of just relationships, network, is huge in what we do and helping people, elevate their careers.
There's obviously a vast difference between being in the NBA and maybe having a sustained amount of success, same faces for, year in and year out, right? For 3 or 4 years, you kind of see the same guys and you can build on something. And then you get to the CBL where it's completely different. And, we've talked about this several times, the phases of a season, right? And there's basically four of them. And I'm not going to repeat them because everyone's heard of us, me and Matt talk about it, and very well about it. But can you tell us from, a front office perspective of the challenges that come with that and having to build sustained success over the course of a CBL season? And I'm sure like a part of it can be frustrating and make you want to pull your hair out. Not that you have much hair left to pull out, but you know, um, but can you talk about
Well,
how challenging the can be as well?
No, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that come with the CEBL where it's, like when me and Jermaine Anderson, Al Whitley, when we kind of like, how do we want to build this team? Like, kind of in December was when we started, and it was like, we want high character guys, guys with high work ethics and talent. And so that was kind of what we built the team around. But like, as you're doing it, it's like you're once the season starts, you're rebuilding the team every week. Like every day, the CBL transaction report comes out with 5 to 7 guys every day on the transaction report. Like every team is constantly shifting, and so for us, we're constantly like moving, the roster and team around as well. And so, and you can't the goal is to win a championship. If our goal was just to like have more wins than last year and be better. We've already done that. And it's like, okay, well, there's no need to make any more changes or anything because we've accomplished our goal. But the goal is to win a championship, and you have 1 year. Like, there's no guarantee any of our players back. There's no guarantee I'm going to be back. There's so much transition where it's like we have to figure out what we need to do to win a championship this year. So that's the goal, and to do it with high character, high work ethic guys. And so it's definitely a different dynamic from the NBA when you're developing young players and you have two ways and you have the G League and you have 3, 4, 5 year contracts, and it's like it's like we don't have a year contracts. It's like it's game by game, and so it's definitely a different dynamic in how you build, how you communicate. And even I kind of learned this last year when I was with Calgary was like, we had transition and stuff. I was like, wow, the coaching staff really holds the culture of the team because the players are in and out and transition, and they go to summer league and they go to their national teams and everything. And it's like that coaching staff really has to keep the culture and system in place as you just transition players throughout the season. So it's definitely a lot of new challenges, but I've enjoyed it as well.
And you said that you got into marketing for a little bit post NBA. You were kind of trying to figure out what you wanted to get into next, and then obviously basketball sucked you back in. You created your own program called Get in the Game 101, which provides educational resources for those who are wondering how they can make that next step to the NBA in a variety of roles. Tell us a little bit about the program and why you thought that was the right time to start that.
Oh no, appreciate the shout out for Get the Game 101. Yeah, I've always enjoyed writing, and obviously I joined basketball. So it's probably I was still with the Trailblazers at the time, but one of the things I did was I helped hire interns with the team, and so I probably interviewed over 1,000 students and are looking to get in the NBA. And then I started at summer league. I would start hosting meetups where I would it was nice. The Blazers covered it, but I just like tell everyone like, hey, meet me in the lobby 7 a.m. Everybody grab a drink, and we're just 30 college students, and like 5 to 10 of those guys are now in the NBA. And it's funny, even like what I'm doing now. Now I'm calling them to get intel on players to help send them. So it's funny how I never intended it to be so reciprocal, but it has been. But yeah, so I started doing the meetups, and I started writing. I wrote an article like 5 ways to get an NBA internship, and that kind of went viral on LinkedIn, and I didn't even use LinkedIn at the time. And so then from there, once I did get let go by the Blazers, I was like, oh, let me like host an online class. And so I hosted an online class. We launched it in a week, and we had like 35 students. And like 5 of those students are now in the NBA. We've had probably over 100 students now that have gone on to careers in basketball, 10 NBA teams. That's just in what, 5 years? And so, yeah, just kind of organically, it started with just writing a blog. So I write on Substack, and then started hosting classes. So we do like 4 classes a year with just students interested in work. And a lot, kind of even like what I said, like my first thing was like I Googled NBA jobs. A lot of it is like the process so that someone else doesn't have to do that. They can go take my class and I'll connect you with 20 NBA people right there, and you can go ahead and skip the steps of like, I have no idea what to do. And like the 3 things I always say is like, the first thing is like you have to have a skill. So like everyone's like, oh, it's my dream. I want to work in the NBA. Like you should hire me. It's like a dream. It's everyone's dream. So that's not going to work. People will be like, oh, it's my favorite team. You should hire me. It's like, come on. But like have a specific skill. So whether that's like analytics, video, player development, scouting, coding, there's just so many avenues to get your foot in the door, but you have to have a skill. You can't just say it's a dream. And then the second thing is to have experience. So the second thing is going to be like, oh, well, where did you use that skill? So that's where like the CBL is so valuable as well, because people who work in the CBL can gain, real experience, or whether that's the G League or even college basketball. You built your skill set, you have experience, and then the third thing is likability. Then eventually someone just has to like you. And that's why I always tell people it's not like where you went to college or what your GPA was. It's like you just have to have experience and a skill, and then eventually someone has to like you enough to hire you. So it's like obviously Caleb Canales came up a couple times. If Caleb didn't like me, who knows if I would have ever got a chance to NBA or CBL. But I got myself a skill set, I got experience in it, and then someone liked me and they gave me a job, and you kind of build a career on that.
I think that anybody that has the pleasure of meeting you in person would say, you've just got this golden retriever energy about you that I love, and I think I love it because I can relate to it as well. And I'll never forget the first time me and Matt pulled up at Sheridan for your training camp practice. You were one of the first people to introduce yourself to us, and there's something about your aura and energy that's super super contagious. And as a coach and as an assistant, you're always giving. So I'm wondering, you've made it clear, through your socials and just, conversations that we've had with you, that social causes are really important to you. Talk about giving back, as a person outside of the game.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, uh, I feel like I was raised. My parents. I have a wonderful family, parents, 2 older sisters. But like, I feel like community, giving back, faith, service has always been important to us. And so, for me, I've always been like, I live my life on the principle of like love your neighbor as yourself. I want to love people, give to people. So it's like it's genuine. Like I really like people. Like you guys come to the gym, it's like, oh, who are they? I want to meet them. Like and so I genuinely care about people. And then, it's been able to translate in some cool ways for my life. I worked for an organization in Africa for 10 years in Zimbabwe. So I spent 10, so like where I said I had August off in the NBA, I would spend that month of August in Zimbabwe working with orphans and children at risk. And it was just something that I'm very passionate about. I still like keep in touch with the kids I worked with. Like I'm still in touch. They're in high school, they're in college, they have careers now. Some of them have visited me in the States, like some of them are working in the UK. And so it's just like those relationships from like these kids were 3, 4, or 5 years old and orphaned, and we were able to help them get into a situation where they had opportunities. So yeah, giving back's always been important to me. Whether that's local, global, wherever that is, just been an important part of who I am and what I want to give back to society and life and humanity.
And you mentioned, obviously, I mean, you're a humanitarian. You're giving all the time. You're offering to people that need, and that takes a real special person to do that. You're obviously also a man of faith, which is very admirable considering kind of the state of the world today. And people are always kind of looking for help, but not always willing to give and to kind of dig into that deeper root. How important has faith been to you in terms of keeping you grounded throughout your basketball journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think faith is important, but then like what comes with faith is like community, and I feel like especially in this basketball space where you're transitioning to different cities, different teams, having that faith community has been just huge for me. Like when I moved to Portland from Virginia, I didn't know anyone, or I knew one person, and they let me stay on their couch for a year. But I had met him in our faith community in Texas, and I had talked to him for 5 years, and his name Kurt Shrine, so shout out Kurt Shrine. But let me stay on his couch, and then in Portland, where I got plugged into like a local church faith community there, and it's like some of those people are people I talk to every day, even now when I'm like in different countries, different places. And so, yeah, faith, has been an important part of, my entire life. And it changes and it shapes, and I know it's like, I mean, it's even, faith wise, even like you guys bring it up, it's like people have a lot of different connotations of what that looks like for different people. And like, for me, it's the same thing. It's about love. It's about kindness, about sacrifice, service. And so, that's kind of the things for me is like the Middle Eastern Jesus and what he brought to the table. Like that's what I follow. So.
I'm hoping we can end this podcast with a little storytelling on your part because, we've name dropped, Dame and CJ at this point, and I know you don't like to, puff your chest about your time in the NBA, but I want you to take this opportunity to flex a little bit, because there might be an aspiring basketball player, maybe an aspiring exec, somebody who wants to be an athlete that might listen or watch this. I'm curious, you've talked about Dame's work ethic and how he was the first guy in the gym, last guy, and you always talk about his leadership. That's the thing that stood out to you. Is there a specific story or a specific moment that you can recall in your time with Dame that stood out to you and that you love sharing that maybe a lot of people haven't had the privilege of hearing about?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's 100 stories of Dame and CJ, two of my favorite human beings, just great people. Even like Dame, his rookie year, he was like calling out the veterans for like things that just at their language, and that they might say something demeaning to another player, staff member, and Dame would go up to him like, these are guys who've been in the league 15 years. He'd be like, hey, we don't do that here. He just like completely flipped our culture of here's how we're going to operate. One of my favorite stories, though, of Dame in particular was sometimes he would rent out a local theater for like our staff and stuff. But he would always come over to me and he'd be like, hey, John, make sure all the team attendants, the ball boys, the ticket people, make sure they're invited. Make sure everyone knows they're welcome. And so, like, and like practice facility in the NBA, we're 30 minutes from like where all the business people, the ticket people are, and he makes sure like all of them knew like, hey, I'm renting out the theater. Everyone in the organization is invited, and so it's like it created such a buy-in from the whole organization, because of Dame and CJ's leadership, and like everybody was included, everyone was a part of it, and so I think that's they set that standard, so that's why even like me having a 14-year career, it's because I wanted to stay in that environment. It's like usually to climb the ladder, you usually have to go to different teams, but like we had such a special, unique group there with Dame, CJ, Terry Stotts, that it's like, oh, I want to be a part of this and I want to grow in this situation. And so yeah, Dame and CJ, they say, like I said, like they were the epitome of caring about everyone. They knew who took their pictures, they knew who sold the tickets, and that stuff's unusual, you don't come around people like that. And even like for me as a front office person, it's kind of helped me like, when you build a franchise, like your star player is everything. I think that's where a lot of NBA franchises go wrong. Either the owner thinks he's the most important person and he isn't, as much as he wants to be. It's like if the owner makes himself the most important person, you're not going to have any players and you're going to lose. It's like whoever your star player is, that's the most important person in your franchise, and you just better pick that person right. So even like on a scale here with CBL, Sean East, amazing human being, amazing person, amazing teammate, and it's like that changes everything because he's our first guy in the gym, and him and Cam Tyson, him and Cam are racing for that first. Before games, after games, like you just have those culture setters that are so important to not just the franchise, but having a good time. It's like you want to enjoy it. You're working all the time. If you have, you know, a star player who you've built a franchise around, and you don't like him, like that's not any fun. And so when you can find a guy who's talented and also great to be around, which, like I said, Dame and CJ, off the charts people, which is why we had so much success. And I know even like we went to the Western Conference Finals one year. we got swept by the Warriors. So people will be like, oh, it was Blazers shouldn't have made it. And it's like, no, we should have, because that group was so connected, which is why we made it and why we knocked out the Thunder, why we beat Jokic and the Nuggets, was because our group was more connected. We might not have been as talented or had as high-end players, but our guys were like so connected, and that's why we had the success there that we did.
All right, John, you've traveled across the world. You've been involved in basketball at the highest level, but you know what you've never done? You've never played target time, and now we're going to do that. Are you ready?
I'm fired up. Let's go.
D, you ready to go?
I'm locked and loaded. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, time now for our target time segment here on the Target Score Brampton podcast. It is the slowest and most relaxed form of rapid fire that you will ever see. John, I'm going to lead us off today. 2-part question to begin, my friend. Best piece of advice you have ever received, and one piece of advice that you always like to give.
Dang, that's good.
Right off the top, we got him.
All right, I'll just say it influential. Like I said, we talked about faith a little bit. Book of Deuteronomy. I remember I was like 19 years old and I read it. Said, these are not just idle words for you, they are your life. And that verse just always stuck with me of like, oh, I'm not just reading just random words. It's like, these are actually the words that are going to create life for me. And then, I think the advice I give, I mean, it's what I said I live by as well, to love your neighbor as yourself. I think the more we can give back to each other and put each other in positions of success, it's like everyone wins. Everybody grows, everybody gets opportunities. So I think it's easy to like try to do what's best for you, but when you do what's best for another, it usually all comes reciprocal.
One thing I admire about you, John, is like whenever you go to a new city, you don't seem to waste any time and you explore and take everything in. Now you've become a big ambassador for Calgary and Brampton. I want to know what your favorite thing about Canada is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's hard to go different from Banff. Like, my time in Calgary out there, I do love exploring Canada and seeing new places, and Calgary and the greater city out there, and the Banff and Canmore and on to Jasper. Just incredibly beautiful nature. And so, yeah, like you said, I like to do that every city, is try to find a place, whether it's a cafe or a park or a forest or something, like what this city represents and where I can go visit. So I'm going to have to go with Banff for that one.
It's so ironic that you said Banff. Sorry to interrupt, Matt, because I literally had somebody message me yesterday, said, if I go to Banff, what do I got to do? And I'm like, literally just rent a car. Once you make that drive, it's like you're going to know what to do. Like there's nothing that you
just
you'll
drive.
miss. Just to drive alone is just something out of a movie. Like I want to do the other way, coming from, I think it's Jasper now, because I've done
Jasper's beautiful.
I definitely want to do from the other side at some point.
I went 5 times last summer. And then obviously we were in Calgary for 2 days this year, and we rented a car as soon as we landed, and a group of us went out to Banff. But yeah, when I actually left Calgary last year, I drove from Calgary to Banff to Jasper to Kelowna, and then down back to Portland. So it was a dream. So
I was waiting for you to say, and I lost some money on this, I was waiting for you to say your favorite part is Cactus Club or Earls. That's the hot things to do in Canada.
Yo, shout out to both Cactus Club and Cactus Club, Peach Bellini. I always tell people I drink 95% of the alcohol I drink during the year is probably a Cactus Club, Peach Bellini's during my summers in Canada.
See, I just said this to who did we have on here the other week? Was it Trenton Flowers when I said try the frosé? The other thing that pairs the Peach Bellini is the frosé. It's one of their summer frozen drinks.
It's crazy to me how many times that's been name dropped on this podcast and they haven't become a sponsor for us or the team. We got to make it happen.
I know. I go to Earl's like 3 times a week too, because we've got it just walkable. So like, especially during the NBA playoffs, like in the evenings, I walk over to Earl's, I bring a stack of books, I get a decaf coffee, happy hour menu, watch a game, get for life over there.
Man, you gotta hook that up. But you obviously, we've talked about Pacific Northwest a little bit here, but you spending a ton of time there, and obviously you're an outdoor guy. If John Ross was going outside for a day, what are you doing? Are you hiking? Are you finding a lake to swim in? What's your kind of go-to outdoor activity?
Yeah, probably hiking. I love to see like new places and just be outdoors, like you said. So I'm probably looking for a trail, whether it's up a mountain or just a path or something to have a lookout of somewhere.
Have you done any like wild hikes at all, or any that you've been like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that?
Oh, geez, yeah. Probably globally. I've been in some crazy places in India, in Africa, and Tibet was a crazy one. Russia, Europe. Yeah. Anyway, I've done some crazy hikes. I put myself in some precarious positions in my life that I have survived. I've been out in the wild with wild animals. The thing is, I'm not even like an outdoorsman or anything, but I love adventure. So like that's where I put myself in some spots. But yeah, I'll go adventure anywhere. So
There's obviously a theme to our questions because it's who you are as a person, and you've clearly been bitten by wanderlust. I'm curious, it's a two-parter. If you could live somewhere for the rest of your life in the world, where would it be? And where's a place you haven't visited that you still want to? It doesn't seem like there's many left.
yeah, I guess living one place. As of now, I got to choose Nashville, Tennessee, because my niece and nephew are there, and they're absolutely the most precious people in life. Both my sisters are there, and my parents are still in Indiana, so I would choose to be close to family if I was picking one place. And then where I haven't been, I would still love to travel to. I haven't been to Australia or Japan, and some more time in the Middle East. Those are kind of the spots I would like to spend more time in.
Yeah, Trenton told us there were a lot of poisonous animals and bugs in Australia. So
Oh yeah, I did.
He and I will not be joining you on that trip. So we're all about transparency on this podcast, John. We're going to dig into one of your more embarrassing moments. What is your most embarrassing basketball moment as a player?
Oh no.
The way your eyes just bulged out of your face.
We also have a couple hours if you need to.
When you say first embarrassed, I'm thinking of my time with the Blazers and all the times I screwed up as a video coordinator. Then when you said player, it reminded me. I was like, do they know? Like, I have one of the worst moments of all time.
Let's go.
We're in like the county championship game when I'm in high school, and there was a timeout, and then we came back on the court, and I got the ball inbounded to me, and I scored at the wrong hoop. I got switched. This is in like a championship game in high school. I scored on the wrong hoop, and I was like, you're just like, my mind is gone. I played incredible the rest of the game because I played so hard. We won that game by 1 point, the championship.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh!
So anyway,
Wait,
and then
as a video guy, have you burned any evidence or film of that moment? Because I gotta find this.
No, I don't. I have not. I don't think I have seen the video. I did listen. I re-listened to the game. It was like replayed on radio that night. Announcer's like, John Ross gets the ball, and he goes silent for like 7 seconds. It's like he just scored at the other hoop. Anyway, we did watch. I remember Coach. Luckily, we won, but we did watch that in film the next day with the team. But luckily, we got the W, or that would have been a lot worse story. But it was still very embarrassing. So.
Was high school basketball kind of crazy for you? Like I figure whenever we've gone to the States to play tournaments, when we were in high school at least, or AAU stuff, like a Friday night in like Meadville, Pennsylvania, and there are like 2,000 people in this gym, and they're all there to watch high school basketball. Was that like a surreal experience? Is that all that we Canadians could imagine, kind of thing?
No, it's the best. High school basketball in Indiana, like 2,000 people in my town I grew up. We have 2,000 people at a game, like everybody goes. There was games, even the girls' games. Some games get moved to arenas for 10,000 people or so when like high level play. And like I said, we're Class A. We're like the smallest, but we would just play in huge crowds sometimes. It was a blast. Yeah. So a lot of like the high school games in Indiana are played in actual arenas. So, yeah, it was a wonderful environment to grow up in. Someone who likes basketball.
And to score on your own net.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm so glad you won that basketball game, because that could have changed the trajectory of your life and your career too. You may have been like, I don't want anything to do with basketball. So, thank God that you came away with the victory.
Thank God. Yeah.
Okay, this is not as embarrassing. Your career has been built off dialogues and conversation. Who's someone that you'd want to have dinner with, living or dead?
Living or dead?
Pick one of each.
Yeah, I mean, I think dead. I would have to go with my grandfathers. I was younger when both of them passed, so just to spend time with them and find out more about their lives and their stories and their history. One of my grandfathers, he grew up a Quaker and a teacher and a coach, and my family, the home, we still own that home in Indiana, but it was part of like the Underground Railroad up north through through southern part of the states to up through Canada. So like our home was part of the stop where they would hide slaves along the way. So that's like a powerful part of our family history. And then my other grandfather on the other side, he was World War II and fought over there during that. So yeah, I would love to spend time with both of my grandfathers. So I'll leave it at that. I'll just go with both of them. So.
Oh, that was the right answer. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, John. If you could combine the skill sets of two current CEBL players to form the ultimate player, and it can be your own guys if you want, who are you mashing together?
Well, I think we're going to have to mash Sean East and Matthew Moncrief together. So if we got that powerful, athletic body mixed with Sean's shooting and handle and ability to get to the rim, that would just be an insane player. So
yeah, that would not be.
He's
two great human beings as well.
I was gonna say, this is how you know he's a basketball exec. He played the politically correct answer there, sticking with your hometown guys.
Absolutely.
All right. I've built a reputation on this podcast for asking people about their Mount Rushmore, so I didn't want to change that experience. So I want to know who your Mount Rushmore of basketball coaches or basketball executives is.
Oh shoot, basketball executives and coaches. I see. I was already thinking about players here.
No.
Yeah, let's go executives. I mean, I think it's got to be Red Auerbach, Pat Riley. Man, kind of stumped me here. Probably got to put Bob Myers in there.
Yeah, that's a good one. You got a good three right there.
And I guess, I guess we'll put Sam Presti in there right now. So
yeah, Sam Presti's building quite a resume for himself at this point.
He really is. So anyway, I was just looking at their roster yesterday because it's a bummer they had to get rid of Lou and Aaron and Joe. And I'm looking at their roster. I go, my goodness, they're still loaded. Even down to their third five is like insane. I'm like, they still got 15 guys. Like, anyways, insane.
They still have 12 second-round picks in the next 3 years. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Somehow they lose and they still get rich. You also have a pretty darn good roster here in Brampton, and that roster got a little stronger today. Tevian Jones, one of the new pieces that's been added. There's your breaking news here on the Target Score Brampton podcast. Speak about him a little bit if you could, and tell us how excited you are to have him kind of in the mix here with the rest of this guard depth.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled to have Tevian. We obviously, when I was in Calgary, we played against him multiple times last year, and then I had a chance to watch him when he was in South Bay this year, even before we hired Coach Serta. I remember watching Tevian in the G and was just really impressed with who he was in the CEBL, then how he transitioned his game in the G, and it was completely different. And so seeing his ability to mold into different situations, and then once he became available here in the CEBL, obviously he was with Saskatoon earlier this season and became available Coach Serta kind of came to, me and Jermaine. He's like, hey, Tavian's available. Like he had him in South Bay, comfortable with him, already knows our system because we just have 5 games left, obviously, and then the playoffs. And it was just a no-brainer for us to bring him in to, add to our depth and roster. And so obviously, we got off to a really hot start this year. We've struggled lately, but we just got Sean East back, adding Tevian. With some of the other pieces we've added, we feel really strong, finishing out the season and then heading into the playoffs. And Tevin, he'll be a big part of that.
Ready for the stretch run down the line here. Well, John, on behalf of D and I would like to say it's been a slice, but it's been the whole dang pie. Thanks for joining the podcast. And as always, we love talking to you.
Yeah, no, appreciate you. We'll see you before our next home game.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Special thank you to Honey Badger's assistant general manager and the man of the hour, John Ross, for chatting with us. D, I think we would both agree on this. John might be the coolest, kindest, most humble person that you could meet in basketball.
Yeah, like I said it a couple of times during that podcast. I mean, that interview, and like it can't be understated. Just a great guy, and he's the kind of guy, like, if he was going to run an event or if he was going to do something, like, I would do everything I could to be a part of it. And he's been, he's been really, really important for you and I to sort of get the intel and to be a part of the conversations of what's going on and how the team is thinking. And he's always been a bridge to other people. I remember I really want to talk to Taj Gibson, and I'm always mindful guys are, or sorry, not Taj Gibson, not Chicago Bulls.
Like, all right, Tom Thibodeau.
Taj Green, my bad.
Tom Thibodeau.
But Taj Green, right? Unfortunately, not with the team anymore. But like, I really wanted to talk to him because he was a new guy on the team, and I wanted to have appropriate story to correspond to the signing of him. And John's like, yeah, I'll make it happen. Just like whistled, brought him over, and boom, I have my interview. So I'm extremely grateful for how he's allowed me to be better at my job, and the league needs more people like him.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely, they do. And you know what we don't need, though? Any more of episode 11. That's a wrap on episode 11 of the Target Score Brampton podcast. Special thanks again to John for joining us. Special thanks to DMZ Bulsara. Again, you can watch the Honey Badgers on their 2-game Western road trip this week. Saskatoon Thursday, Winnipeg Saturday. Check out Saturday. It's the founding father, Joey Slattery, on National Television. That's on CBC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey's going to crush it. He's going for his second national broadcast of the season, I believe, right?
Ooh.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
He got a new jacket on the last one, too.
I don't know.
Said he had to drop a bag on the new jacket, walking around like this, all this. First thing I said to him was, Joey, jacket looks awful. Next episode, you can catch next Wednesday. Content all the time. Check out Target Score Pod on Instagram, Target Score Podcast on YouTube. We will have another guest for you next week. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And thank you for subscribing was the answer.
Taj Gibson.
All right, I'm getting out of here. That was it for episode 11. Thank you. See you next time.